It's Tuesday, June 10th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, level editing in games.
Let's do this.
Oh my god, it's E3!
Who gives a shit?
I've never cared about, in my entire life, as big of a gamer as I am, and as much as I deeply cared about video games, I never cared about E3. I vaguely wanted to go back in that era when we would read like Mega Tokyo.
Well, I mean, I only cared about E3
I cared because I couldn't get into it and I wanted to be at it.
Yeah, it's like when I was in high school, you'd get like video game magazines and they'd be like, check out all this stuff from E3. And you'd be like, what's E3? I guess it's a place where they have all these great games and you can play like crazy. And
forget E3, any conference like that, until the internet and until I went to like a lot of conventions, I pretty much assumed that every time I heard about a video game conference of any type, it was exactly like the Nintendo tournament at the end of The Wizard.
Sure. But
I was really disappointed when it turned out that conventions are not like that at all.
Well,
PAX.
I'm still surprised E3 even exists because there was a time it died completely.
Well, it died as the show that was aimed originally. It had the problem where it was for the press, but fans wanted to go too, and their paths they only had two possible paths. They could either go 100% press only, like for real, and not just let like the guy who has a blog with one subscriber that's himself show up, or
it used to be the GameStop employee would show up because they're in the industry.
Yeah. Or they could go the other route and just try to become a shitty version of what became PAX. There's really no middle ground for a convention like that. I don't know. I've never been interested in E3, and actually I've never even been interested in the news or the announcements, even as a journalist, because the announcements can be summarized by a list of bullet points of these games were announced. There was usually no reason to actually watch the press conferences. They usually show almost no actual gameplay. Sony actually is the only company that gets props in recent memory because they announced a game and said it's already available for sale.
Good job.
That is my hat is off to you.
Golf clap.
However, the game, Entwined, looks beautiful. Looks like an amazing visual, auditory, sensory experience. It looks like the height of interactive amusement.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say it meets any of the other definitions of game.
I mean, I might play it, but I wouldn't pay money for it. And even if I got a free PlayStation and the game for free, I might spend 20 minutes on it.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? Watching it and, oh my God, I just looked at a trailer for it and the first comment was the same thing I was about to say, effectively. So they made Journey 2, now with fish and bird. Except basically it's Journey if you control both entities.
Or Vib Ribbon.
It's just Vib Ribbon. It's just a rhythm game. I don't get why so many rhythm games have come out recently that basically are the same thing with the skin.
It's like, I played this game. Now I will play this exact same game again, only looks different.
Now, I'm not saying there is not a place for aesthetics or style. I mean, the game seriously is beautiful. Other than the fact that apparently it also has dragon mode where the fish and the bird merge to become a dragon.
Of course, a dragon is just a fish bird. Everybody knows that.
If your game has dragon mode, why the fuck is there a not dragon mode?
Because that makes the dragon mode that much more exciting. If it was just dragon mode from the start, you'd be like, okay, dragon mode. But it's like, oh shit, dragon mode time. Oh yeah.
I'll never forget my year with dragon mode.
You had a whole year with dragon mode. It would get a little old.
Anyway, but there is definitely a place for games that are these visual experiences that are, rhythm games like this can be engrossing. They're an important part of gaming, but I see no reason to be excited about this game.
There's people out there who are just like so into video games, and it's like, they actually like these games are their thing. Like as much as we care about whatever we care about, they care about these games that were announced that much. Like they're so into it. But for me at this point, I really don't give a shit about any of these games at all.
I give a few shits about some games. However, they're kind of out of my reach. I mean, Nintendo's continuing to release its series of B+ versions of its first-party games, but not going to buy a Wii U just to play the new Zelda game, especially because I didn't finish the last couple of Zelda games.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing is like all these games that I have.
Like Twilight Princess was really fun, and then I really got tired of it way before I was done with it.
I mean, look at the games that I have now. So on my 3DS, Pokemon, whatever, unbeaten. Pokemon.
Really? You haven't beaten Pokemon yet?
I haven't even. I guess I just stopped playing it.
You didn't foil Lysander's plot? It takes like 20 minutes.
No.
You don't even need a level, dude.
Basically what happens to me lately, right, is I'll play a game and I'll be kind of into it, and then I'll get to a point in the game where it's just like, it's just too much fucking work to continue. Fuck it, right? So like I was playing Fez. Fez was really good. It had these really interesting sort of puzzles where you'd flip the map around, and it was really good puzzle platforming, right? And it was fun.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point in the game where in order to really make a lot of progress, you had to learn to read the stupid fucking language or read a fact, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. And I stopped playing and never picked it up again.
Well, you know what it comes down to?
Pokemon.
Games?
I got to the town in the middle, right? And the gym inside the Eiffel Tower was open. And there was just so much stuff in that town, right? And
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even go. I didn't look at any of that shit. You know what it is? It's a million cafes where 3 people tell you 2 sentences of dialogue.
Right, of course. But it's like, I feel like, wow, you just gave me way too much shit to do at once. Fuck this, right? Dragon Age. I got Dragon Age for like way cheap, or someone gifted it to me or something, right? A long time ago, like months and months ago, maybe even a year ago. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, okay, this isn't really much of a game, but, there's something happening here. I'm following the dwarfy story, whatever, just clicking through. And eventually, I get to a town, and it's like, oh, you're in a town, and inventory management. And you have a zillion items, and I'm like, fuck it, never played it again.
Well, there's 2 things.
Skyrim, same shit.
I think there's a couple of different types of things that'll cause people like us to peter out on a game. A lot of the reason I'll play a new game is either because it's something truly novel. I'll play for the novelty, like, wow, that's a mechanic that I have not seen
If there's something
done well
really
before.
new, I gotta see what it is.
Like, for example, Akron. Yeah, time-traveling RTS. Holy fuck, is that a novel idea?
Yeah, but sorry, Dr. Hazard, I couldn't get through the tutorial.
Yeah, well, that's because we're bad at RTSs.
It was just I couldn't do it.
Yeah, we're we're crippled when it comes to playing RTSs.
But you know what? StarCraft 2 on easy/normal mode, I beat the whole single players.
Yeah.
Even the expansion bit.
But I get to a point in games like that, like any sort of single-player, nominally an ortho game, competitive game like that, where I'm not going to engage heavily with the multiplayer community, where the single-player version of the game, like the campaign or whatever it is, just kind of gets samey. And I think that really happened. Even look at Castle Crashers. The first couple of levels of Castle Crashers were really novel. The music was great. They were really fun. Then the whole rest of the game was just the same fucking thing over and over again, slowly leveling up and unlocking a bunch of stuff. As soon as I have to unlock stuff, I no longer care.
As soon as I have to redo a part I already did, done. It's like if your game is only fun once, fuck it, right?
But there is a place for games that are only fun once.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is if I have to ever redo a part, I'll just give up on the whole game, right?
So
it's
you played Super Meat Boy, you died, and you're like, fuck it.
Super Meat Boy is actually good, but Super Meat Boy is another good example. It's like, okay, I beat Super Meat Boy. I didn't do any hell levels. I didn't do any.
See, now that's different.
Shit.
That's fine because I do like games that have an ending point, but then they have more for people for whom that game is their thing. I mean, I love the shit out of the challenge areas in Bionic Commando Rearmed. But I understand that most people want nothing to do with that.
The game I'm playing most these days, it's like on my 3DS actually is where I'm playing the most video games. And it's like I have games on there like the new Phoenix Wright or the relatively new Phoenix Wright.
I stopped caring about Phoenix Wrights a long time ago. They're all the same. They're just, you see what would be an okay episode of an anime. Meanwhile, you solve trivial logic puzzles.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Once I played the third one, I was like, yeah, I no longer care about this.
I have it. I haven't even opened. I haven't even launched it. Not even launched. It's just been sitting there on my 3DS home screen, right?
Wow. Why'd you even buy it?
I'll play it eventually, maybe one day. I still haven't beaten. I have games for the DS that I have bought and did not beat, right? I have a bunch of 3DS games on cartridges, some that I bought when I got the 3DS, some of which I have not even put into the 3DS.
I bought the newest 3DS Zelda game, and I have not actually played it yet.
Which one's that?
The Between Worlds whatever.
Oh, I beat that.
Yeah.
That's the SNES Zelda remake?
Yep.
Yep, I beat that.
I'm going to play it, but I'm powering through some fun parts towards the end of Pokemon. I gotta go Victory Road it up.
If anyone wants that cartridge, I will sell it to you, because I will never put it in my 3DS ever again.
But because I have such a wide panoply of games I can play, Just every type of game. I'm looking at my Steam library, and half these games have never been installed. I can play anything. So a game either has to have a thriving, current multiplayer multiverse in which I can compete, in which I wish to compete, or it has to provide a novel experience or an enduring experience. Interwoven FPS story games have not gotten too far past Half-Life 2 in terms of construction. All the you are military fighting military battle, I feel like I've played that game before.
Yeah, no need.
Yeah. I mean, you could do novel stuff, but until I see something really interesting and more novel than the other ones I've played, I mean, the new you are a military man doing military thing is not that much different from the new FIFA or the new Madden.
You were even talking about how you were loving that Deus Ex whatever.
Human Revolution was a fucking amazing game.
I played that for like 5 minutes and I was like, oh, fuck it. I don't care.
I don't understand why you didn't like that game.
Just walk around and shoot things game, and then I don't care about anything that's happening.
You didn't. It's walk around and not shoot things. The fuck were you doing?
Anytime I try to actually stealth in any game that claims to be stealth, I get seen immediately and get killed.
You're just bad at that.
Except for Thief. Thief is the only game where the stealth actually works.
Seriously, Scott.
Metal Gear, stealth doesn't work.
How? In Deus Ex, you just you see a guy, he turns his back, you sneak up behind him and either knock him out or crawl into the vent next to him. He'll never see you. I don't know how you possibly get seen.
You're on a map and it's like, okay, get from here to here. And the only thing between you and there is a giant room with lights on everywhere and a million bad guys.
There's no point in the game that's like that.
Anyway, I just didn't care.
You just don't play games anymore.
I just don't. I just don't give a shit about almost any video game that comes out. I'm playing Picross more than I'm playing any other video game.
So you're turning into one of those casual gamers.
Sure.
Picross, really? Picross isn't even a game.
It's a puzzle.
Yeah, it's a puzzle. I noticed how you did not disagree.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, so that's what you're you're playing time wasters.
It's an entertainment software puzzle.
I mean, I'm actually the games I play the most right now are FTL. Now that there's the expansion, that game.
Yeah, FTL, I beat it, and then I was done.
You beat it on easy on baby mode.
Yep, that's
easy and baby mode.
I have no desire to play any more FTL ever in my life.
You didn't even play that game. That's like playing Counter-Strike once.
I have no desire to play it ever again.
Yeah, I don't know why. You just don't like games anymore.
I just don't.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm playing a bunch of games.
The point is E3.
E3, however,
everything they announced, I don't care about even from the start.
Nah, I would care about some of these things. Like, for example, the new Zelda game looks pretty good.
Okay, sure. I would play the new Zelda game, but I'm not buying a Wii U for it.
The new Mario Party looks pretty good. They actually added a mode.
I'll just play my old Mario Party.
They added a mode that would be...
I have that Mario game for the Wii, New Super Mario Brothers, that 4 people can play at once. We never even played that. So why would I buy some Wii U Mario Party?
Yeah, I don't know why you bought that game because I knew we wouldn't play it.
I'll play it at some point.
No, you won't. You're never going to play it.
I'm going to retire.
You probably lost it.
I have it. I'll retire.
But the new Mario Party actually does have an amazing mode. It has 2 ways to play the game, normal Mario Party and Bowser Party.
How does Bowser Party work?
Bowser Party is 3 people are playing Mario Party and 1 person, the entire game, controls Bowser and the enemies in all the mini games.
Let's just play Bomberman, and then everyone have asshole revenge mode.
Are you seriously saying that those are the same basic experience?
You get the same feeling from fucking someone over.
No, you don't, because Bomberman, for one, is a directly competitive ortho game.
So where the Mario Party. So only Mario Party has a lot more randomness.
No, because 2, it is basically take one type of game, one mini game effectively, the Bomberman game, and foster extreme mastery of that. Mario Party is foster competent mastery of a large number of disparate types of games.
Sure.
I mean, they're very different games fundamentally. I wouldn't really just brush them off the way you're brushing them off. But my problem with Mario Party 10 is this. 1, I don't trust Nintendo to make Bowser mode actually fun for Bowser.
And Can Bowser even win?
I don't know. They haven't announced enough details. I don't trust Nintendo to use the Wii U's capabilities at all. And there is no way this mode is actually going to be good. You know what this mode is going to turn into? It's going to be the mode where your friend who doesn't like to play the competitive game, well, you get to be Bowser, and they sit there and deal with it for like 20 minutes, and then they get bored, and now your game's fucked because you need Bowser for the whole rest of the game. That's what's going to happen. That's what this mode is.
It's like that Zelda game. It's like, okay, I'd want to play that, but I'm not going to pay for it. I'm not going to buy a Wii U for it.
I would buy it and play it if I didn't also have to buy a Wii U. And there still are not enough games on the Wii U for me to buy it.
One day, they're going to come out, right? Like, not the next thing after the Wii U, like the Wii U Plus or something, right? They're going to come out with, like, the Nintendo
Revolution.
FIFO FUM, and, like, 20 years from now. And on that Nintendo console, 2 generations from now, they're going to have an eShop where you can download digital games or, I don't know, absorb them into your consciousness, right? However it works. And they're going to re-release this old this Zelda game will get re-released, just like Wind Waker got re-released and Ocarina of Time got re-released.
But
and
will you care about it? I feel like with all the Zelda games that have come out in the last many years, many of them effectively replace others of them in that there is no reason for anyone, even people who are into Zelda games, to play all of them. There's a bunch you should probably skip.
I've played every Zelda game pretty much. I think I played every Zelda game. Oh no, I didn't beat the train one on the DS. I played it a bunch and then stopped because it was awful. But every other Zelda. Oh no, I didn't beat Majora's Mask either because it's a pain in the ass. But every other Zelda game I've beaten, right?
Yep.
So I would play this. Why not? But I realized they keep coming out with like remakes. They came out with like Wind Waker HD. So it's like, I already played Wind Waker. I have no need for Wind Waker HD. But if I just wait 2 generations and don't play anything and they re-release everything, I'll get a lot of value out of that new console, right? Like someone who never played Wind Waker would get a lot of value out of a Wii U right now because Wind Waker HD is on it. So there's actually 2 games they want to play on it. That old Zelda game remake and this new one. For me, there's only 1 game on it, so it's not worth it.
Yep. But also, they announced the new Madden, and I'm just...
What's the difference?
Do you even need to... Well, they change things every year. They make
players,
these games better.
The fields, the graphics, I don't know.
Actually, they made a lot of differences, and there's a pretty long article about like the pretty specific changes they made to how the game works.
But if I didn't buy the old Madden, why would I buy this Madden? I'll just play Tecmo Bowl.
They're very different experiences. There is a place in everyone's heart.
So why is Madden an experience I would ever want to have?
What's the last like football game you played?
I bought Madden for the first Wii and played it once.
Yeah. Well, that Madden was like that was an atrocity against Madden games.
I played Tecmo Bowl like the other day. I played 10-Yard Fight like yesterday.
Nah.
I was testing out an emulator, and that's the first game because
not like Blitz on the N64.
It begins with 10, so it's the first game in your emulator list because it begins with 1-0.
But I guess this is where E3 just lacks my interest because I knew a new Madden game was going to come out,
Obviously.
and I knew that all the details about that Madden game were going to be released at some point. So the huge press conference and stuff about it, especially because they pretty much don't actually show gameplay in most of these E3 things, was completely useless except as a hype machine. And I noticed, and this is just my personal opinion, that a lot of the gaming journalists I know who I was following on Twitter, their tweet streams reeked of forced enthusiasm and attempting to say anything about the announcements along the way.
Or they're actually legitimately enthusiastic because that's their only thing is video games.
No, because I know these people, and watching the tweet streams, like you'd see the occasional tweet where it's obvious like they're really into the new Civ game, which I'm pretty into the new Civ game.
Yeah, I have Civ 5. I haven't played it in forever.
But then you see, I don't know why. Civ 5 is amazing.
What am I supposed... I don't have time for this shit.
I don't know what you do with your days that you don't have time to play video games at all.
Live?
Like I don't know what you do. How long does it take you to do laundry?
I actually been paying for someone else to do my laundry lately.
Then you should have plenty of time to play video games.
I'm watching stuff and cooking food and biking and...
Nah, is that bicycle show? You're just watching all this anime, Sailor Moon?
Oh, shit, this new Sailor Moon, isn't there? It is sort of anime season right now.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll continue on our march to mastering Gods of Teutonica and leave you behind. Anyway, things of the day. So since we're talking about level editors, as you may or may not know, I was big into editing levels and creating levels and modding shit in the Doom days. Mm-hmm. You know, back when no 3D knowledge was really required and the games were just... They were simple to the point that I could know a great deal about the intricacies of the engine without having to spend months researching and reading books and learning this stuff. But id had their own editors to make levels and to do stuff with the game. You know, they used something to make the levels. And there were a lot of other tools like Windu. The tool that I used when I made these levels in Doom primarily was something called WADed. Like WAD ed, as in WAD editor, because those files were called WAD files. There's a whole history of WAD files and why they were called that, and it's kind of amazing. We'll skip all that. This is a YouTube thing that's got like 20 views, and it's just a playlist of a bunch of video of the interface to WADed. This is the world I lived in, and it's really interesting to look back at this interface and remember that I used to spend hours designing levels in this.
That are probably now gone.
I've got them.
That no one will ever play.
If I put them on the forum, I'll bet people would play them. No, I don't have them. They're on that hard drive.
Uh-huh.
I could pay someone to fix that hard drive.
You still have the hard drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
The controller died. The platters are fine.
Sure. Yeah, so you ever seen, that foam that's shaped like egg crate, right? They call it egg crate, I guess, because if you put a bunch of eggs in it in little cuppy parts, it would sort of, right?
I'm looking right now at a similar foam that's used to shield audio surfaces and prevent echoes in a studio.
Sure. Well, have you ever thought about how that foam was made? I mean, we love videos showing cool machines in factories that make stuff and work in a really interesting way. And I thought, just if you would have asked me how it was made, right, I would have said, they probably just squirt foam into a mold that's the shape of an egg or something.
Yep,
right?
I would have thought something similar.
But, you did think something similar when I asked you.
Exactly.
But we were both wrong. It's actually made in a much more clever way with this machine in this video. The thing about this is I had to watch this video and actually look closely and think about it for a few seconds before I really realized how it was working. And then I was just like, oh, genius.
You clever girl.
How about that?
Meta Moment, the book club book is a canonical for Leibowitz. Scott has not updated the website yet, so...
But send me, I pretty much don't do anything unless I put a reminder in my reminder thingy.
Maybe that's what. So you get home, you just sit there doing nothing until a timer goes off. Time to make dinner.
No, but anything like that's not something that I would think to do or naturally want to do. I won't remember to do unless I put a reminder.
Yes, I'm so glad. Meanwhile, that you've remind me repeatedly and publicly on Twitter if I forget to do something like that.
Because you just don't do things even if you're reminded. You're even worse. If I have a reminder, I get the reminder and then I do the thing immediately.
I guess the book
you
club
just
book,
don't do the thing ever.
I guess the book club book is still wool, so I've already read that.
No, it's not.
We're going to be at Kineticon in July 10th,
It's a month
11th,
away.
12th, 13th. It's a fucking amazing con, and you should be there. We're also doing some of our own panels there. Going to be at PAX Prime. I'm going to be at PAX Dev. I don't think Scott's going to be at PAX Dev. Come say hi. You going to PAX Dev?
Probably not.
No? You don't want to go to PAX Dev?
Not unless someone else pays for it.
Nah. Kickstart yourself going.
No.
The Kickstarter will be you'll make a game.
No, I won't. Listen, the only Kickstarter that I will ever do, right, that's going to work is you give me enough money that I don't have to go to work, and then I'll have time to fucking do something. If you guys want to pay my salary for a whole year, then I will do something else that you want me to do. Otherwise, nothing's happening.
So yeah, there was some news about level editors that made us think to do this episode. Because I've actually been thinking a lot about level editors independently of Scott saying, hey, let's do a show on level editors.
Well, I saw the E3, they announced this Mario level editor, and I was like, oh, where was that 25 years ago?
Yeah.
30 years ago.
At least 30 years ago, while they could have had a level editor, there was no way to monetize or communityify that.
It didn't matter. Friggin' Excitebike had an editor, so why didn't Mario have one?
Yeah, because there probably wasn't enough space on the cartridge.
Maybe.
No more copies of Mario 1 would have been sold.
But for they could have on a Super Nintendo, right? Like a Mario All-Stars, they could have had a level editor.
But again, the cold calculus, would more of that have been sold?
Listen, it had Mario Paint, it even had the mouse. It would have been so easy.
Yes, the mouse. Who fucking owned that mouse other than you and me?
This other kid I knew who was also named Scott.
Yeah. You know what? That mouse
I didn't
was
own
amazing until I realized that games that needed mouse did not support mouse. Like SimCity.
Only Mario Paint supported
Nope.
mouse.
That King Arthur game supported it.
I don't know what game you're talking about.
Wow, really?
I have no idea.
Oh my god. I'm going to find
The only King Arthur game I know for Super Nintendo is Kid King Arthur or something. Or is it the Merlin's Son or something?
What? That game sucked.
It was a garbage game.
So you never played King Arthur's World?
Never heard of it.
Imagine Lemmings.
Okay.
But all the guys, instead of being lemmings, are troops. that have different attack patterns.
So how is this different from King Arthur's Gold, which is that new game that we bought but didn't play?
Vaguely similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about that?
I should live stream some fucking King Arthur's World because I can use the mouse. It's going to be awesome. I'm so down with this. I'm doing it.
Anyway, so level editors, right? Nintendo should have released this level editor a long time ago, so it took them 30 years. So I guess the Pokemon MMO should have been released 10 years ago, so 20 years to go till the Pokemon MMO, everybody. Count down in 2034 when the Rangers are back in the Stanley Cup Finals again, because that happens every 20 years. You'll also get the Pokemon MMO, finally. Put it in your calendar. Yeah, level editors. It used to be a lot of games came with a level editor that I'd usually just ignore and only occasionally use.
Yep. I mean,
and now it seems very few, if no, games come with it. It's like you can still mod some modern games, but you sort of have to code and use your own tools, and it's a pain in the ass.
Was this a launch game?
They don't give you like the user-friendly level editors anymore.
So when I got my Super Nintendo for Christmas, there was a game that I had on it because there weren't that many games out in 1992, 91. RPM Racing.
Yeah,
RPM
that was a
stood
Super
for,
Nintendo launch game.
Radical Psycho Machine Racing.
Yep.
That game had a track editor.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it was a surprisingly full-featured track editor.
Yeah, let's think about this. So Civilization 2, right?
Yeah.
Had Matt, right? SimCity 2000.
Well, SimCity 2000, because the game is about editing a map in a sense.
No, but they had before you started playing the game.
Yes, you could reticulate your splines.
I flattened the whole map.
Yeah, because
like a pancake.
Because
and put a nice coastline and a nice river to make it as easy as humanly possible.
Yeah, you're the same person who would play Civ 2, put all the other civilizations on one square island in the middle of nowhere.
Not one square islands, because then they could have boats. I made islands exactly the radius of a city, and I put their city right in the middle so they couldn't possibly ever boat. And then I would make myself a nice, beautiful, large island, fill it up with cities, boat over and shoot them one at a time with cruise missiles.
Why would you do that?
It was easy. Because if I played the game normally, you know what happened? I would get to the point where like I had way too many troops and I could win the game, but it's like, oh, it's too much effort to sit here for another 2 hours. Fuck it. And
yeah, I remember when I'd play the game with Ken, he was a really big fan of doing the phonetic stuff. So
I did that too.
Yeah, when you've got like
every single hex would have a fortress with full irrigation and a railroad and a fortified fanatic.
Yup. Oh,
because
fanatics.
they didn't have any maintenance, so I could just make a million.
I would
of
just
them.
be pumping fanatics across the Trans-Siberian Railroad that I'd
It's like
always
someone
build.
would come over with like some real military units and be like, I don't care what unit you have. I have like 100 fanatics stacked up in my city. It won't matter.
But in RPM Racing, what I would do with the level editor is my brother and I would always make large open world maps by using the pluses, because the game it only checked that the integrity of the map met these like minimal requirements. So we'd make these giant like multi-directional maps, and we'd never race because the racing was not that fun. We'd play tag effectively, or King of the Hill or something like that instead. We'd always like hack together our own game on top of it. Man, even Stunts 4D Racing had a level editor.
Wow.
A really advanced level editor too. What if people still play that game? What if there's a speed run community around that? But when it comes to these level editors, there's 3 different types of level editors when you really think about it. There's the internal tool, like if I made a game engine or like I made a new Mario game, what tool do I give to my designers who are making levels in that game? Like, what do we use? We're not just going to write raw code every time we make a level. There's more efficient ways to do that in most cases. But then there's the level of, do you make an editor like that for the users, like Scott brought up? Those kinds of editors. Like, hey, make new levels in Mario. Those need radically different interfaces and affordances because you have to assume that the people making the games know a lot less about your engine. I mean, no one's going to be attaching scripts to objects in like a Mario editor that they release on the Wii U.
Nope.
And then the third level are the fan editors, meaning there's a game that does not have an editor and fans make their own editors.
Yeah, like those Super Mario World things you see where like they create some ridiculous combo, right? That like does something crazy. We've done those as thing of the days before.
Yeah, we have.
Right, the results of using those level editors, or like the Mario Paint that you can just download.
Yep. Or like there was id Software's editor for Doom, but I would use all these fan-created things that actually worked in fundamentally different ways, and some of them were kind of broken, and some were kind of better than id's editor itself. But each of these is like a totally different topic. You'd almost do a separate show on all of them.
Well, I mean, all right. So let's just talk about some. Right. So what do you think is the best official editor that came with a game that you've ever seen?
I can't get past Stunts 4D Racing right now. Actually, the Advance Wars level editor was super good.
Oh, that is a good one.
It let you make really, really crazily, arbitrarily put together maps.
It let you make any map you wanted, pretty much.
Pretty much. The only constraints really was just the sheer size of the maps.
Yep.
But you could even put like weird units. You could do anything. I made some really, I think, amazing Advance Wars maps that no one will ever play with me, so it won't matter.
I think the one is the one that most people don't even know about, which is on the N64, there was an F-Zero game, F-Zero X, which is pretty much just F-Zero GX with shitty graphics. And there was a level editor for it. You could make F-Zero tracks, the 3D kind with the loops and everything.
Oh.
That's, and it's like, there's pretty much nothing like that. Right? And then you get to play basically real F-Zero on it, not some, gimpy racing game, but F-Zero for reals.
When I was in, a young boy and I was playing Stunts 4D Racing, because that editor was so complex, 4D Racing was like the thing in my high school. So people would pass around discs with their high scores and their maps and compete on each other's maps. I was really obsessed with making maps that had multiple ways to go. And I was particularly obsessed with making them such that they all took about the same amount of time, no matter how good you were. And I was triply obsessed with designing those maps to where there was actually one way to go that was a clever shortcut that catered to my skills so that I could make ridiculous times and beat all my friends. I was kind of a dick when it came to that game.
How is that any different from me making the Civ map with an island for each bad guy?
Because I was at least doing this to cause other people to feel bad. You were making a rudimentary AI feel nothing.
If I played it multiplayer, someone would have felt really bad starting on that island with no boat possibilities.
Plus, mine involved one, at least a level of subtlety. And two, it still required skill to pull it off and get that time.
Listen, it required skill. The skill of patience. To sit there until you can get boats and blow everyone up. All right, so what game do you wish had an editor but does not?
Well, I could almost cheat there because what about games where there is an editor, but it is beyond my ability to use effectively? Or to where I could do something amazing with it, but for the lack of time and energy willing to be put into it.
That's true for every editor. Even something that doesn't take too long to make, like, say, StarCraft comes with a level editor, right? A StarCraft map doesn't take that long to make. It takes a long time to perfect it, but not a long time to make it.
Yeah.
But it's like you still had to put in a lot of time to make a good StarCraft map that anyone wants to play on.
Yeah. It's more that games that had level editors, I wish they had used their level editors to more effectively let people compete with said levels. I want games to integrate level editors into the core game. Here's an example. Imagine a Mario game where it has a multiplayer mode. Here's the way the mode works. I design a level, you design a level. We then play our own level and the other person's level, and then whoever has the highest score wins.
So you have to play both maps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. Castlevania on the DS, the first one actually had a thing like that in it.
Have you played Jason Rohr's Castle Doctrine?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so that's a game where basically you make a house according to certain rules, and then your stuff's in it, and people will try to break into your house, and you try to break into other people's houses. So it's basically level editing the game and also navigating other people's levels the game.
Yep. You know what? You know what these all come down to? You know what? There's one type of game that has actually perfected that, except that they usually don't do it with multiplayer. That is the tower defense game. The games are basically edit a map and make it as cheap and opportunistic as possible.
There is a Tower Wars game.
But it wasn't that good.
I played it on Steam a few times, and it's you basically simultaneously make a map and send bad guys to attack the other guy. You're basically doing both at once, right? And they're doing both at once to you, right? But you're like their bad guys interact with your map and your bad guys interact with their map, but that's about it. There's no other interaction going on. So it's really like you're just playing 2 games at once, and who can play both games better.
True. I think we're kind of going down a road. I think there's a big distinction here because an editor that's within the context of a competition or a game is part of the game, but yet when we talk about editors, we're usually talking about an external meta of a way to create levels within a game. And I think they are actually fundamentally distinct. The most interesting thing that I'm surprised people haven't taken advantage of more yet is straight up monetizing that and having community sharing map things, which you should
You
see
mean the
off and
Steam
on.
Workshop?
Yes. That's not widespread in other areas. A lot of games don't give you those capabilities, or they don't use the community factors effectively.
Well, in the Steam Workshop, there's the Portal map editing,
Yep.
right? And some of those are really good. I've played a whole bunch of them, especially the co-op ones with some people, right? So, like, if you have a friend and you've played a whole bunch of Portal and you just wish you're waiting for Portal 3 to come out, like, Portal's the kind of game where I'll actually beat it because it's that good, but then I won't play it again. But hey, it's like if there was new Portal, I would play that right away. And there is new Portals. People made it, and a lot of it's not bad. And there's even Portal racing maps. Those are pretty fun, too, if you have a friend to play them with.
Yep.
The way they work is basically you race around in a circle on a racetrack using portals, but you can also, like, with your portal skills, like, trigger obstacles that will, harm the other players, set them back and such.
You know what those
pretty
are like?
cleverly designed.
You know what those are like? Gorge Race.
Pretty much, yeah. It's Gorge Race.
I kind of want to play old Gorge Race now.
Well, play Portal 2 co-op race.
Man, Gorge Race was only fun, though, because of how fucking broken it was.
Pretty much, yeah. If it wasn't broken, it would have been too easy.
Yeah. But at least ignoring the monetary aspects, Nintendo should have made things like this and made them available a long time ago, because that would have added a lot of long-term street cred replayability to some of their games. They could have, with the DS even, made ways for people to get maps and share maps. And that could have been a whole like Nintendo community store thing, but we know they're afraid of communities. They're afraid of people talking to each other. They're basically afraid of anything innovative at this point.
Well, they're going to be forced into it, right? I think someone said desperate Nintendo is best Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because they'll start doing things they don't want to do that we need them to do.
Yeah, but we'll see, because when Nintendo was desperate before, were they even that desperate in the GameCube era? I mean, GameCube was just the next iteration of Nintendo.
The GameCube, I don't think, was really necessarily super amazing. It was just good.
It was like solid Nintendo.
Right, but it happened to be at the time when we had a bunch of people in the same place to play all those 4-player games.
Yeah, but even then,
if GameCube came out now, we'd be like, whatevs.
I would have played a lot of those single-player games, especially that F-Zero was amazing if you want to just make yourself feel miserable.
Why
and
isn't there a
incompetent.
new F-Zero Nintendo?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, how come there wasn't one on the Wii?
Yeah, but this level editor is
or
interesting.
the 3DS.
Because at least from the screens we see, it looks like it's ultra intuitive, which is what a consumer fan-facing editor needs to be. I mean, I could make an editor for a game. Like if I made a game, I could have an editor that a developer could use. And that would be perfect for our internal use. And it would also be perfect for like high level fans. Like that's a way to engage the people who are really into your game. Like the community of people who make maps for Counter-Strike. Valve has a vested interest in keeping those people happy and giving those people the tools they need to make more levels to give their own game more replayability over time. But at the same time, the tools you use to make Counter-Strike maps are literally beyond the reach of 99.9% of humans.
It's like, I could learn it if I wanted to, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It would take so much effort to learn that. It would only be worth it if it was my job.
They're expert tools. Meanwhile, the
and
Mario
I don't enjoy
editor,
doing it to the point where I would do it on my own on purpose.
And they're from a different perspective. Those things are from the perspective of someone who knows how the engine works from the inside and the outside, and knows how the game works, like gameplay, level design, all those things. But because the game's so multifaceted, there's so many aspects, so many features,
Well,
so many.
I think it's also because, Counter-Strike is just like a full-on 3D game for reals. So just by the nature of technology, it's very complicated to make a map for it. It's very easy to make, say, a StarCraft map. It's just a grid, right?
Yep. It's difficult to make a fair and interesting StarCraft
an F-Zero
map.
map isn't really any different than an Excite Bike map. There's a set number of components, and you put them in a straight row together, and then you eventually have to end where you started.
Yep. So, but those games from a like interface perspective can still be really intuitive and graspable by a normal person who has simply played the game.
Super Meat Boy level's really easy to make.
But it's really hard to make levels in those games that are well designed.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's true for any game, right?
Yep.
But technologically speaking, right, the software to edit with a good user interface, and the ability of a person to at least make a legal, legitimate map made, even if it's crappy, is possible with a two-dimensional grid-based game.
But meanwhile, I remember like Doom, like I know the inside and out of Doom and all the line defs and side defs and pegging textures to things and all that crap. But when Quake 1 came out, I was like, man, I'm really into this level-making modding community for Doom. I should get on board with Quake. And that lasted about an hour.
I've had the Half-Life, what was it? I even forget what the thing, hammer tool, whatever it was. Warhammer, I don't know, but remember they had some tool and the icon was a hammer. And I succeeded in making a map that was a big box room. And for Natural Selection 2, same thing. I made a map that was a room that was a big box with like a hallway sticking out of it.
But a game like Mario is so perfect because the only people who are going to mess around with that level editor are people who already know how Mario works. And Mario has a very simple set of user interfaces and things. Like mushrooms pop out. We know how mushrooms work. We know how pipes work. We know how piranha plants work. None of those things need to be configurable. It's almost like making a diorama and then playing around in the diorama.
Yeah, and I can do stuff that other Mario games never dared to do. For example, a hole so big you can't jump over it, but there are hidden blocks above the hole, but you can't step on them because they haven't been hit yet. So the only way to get across is to get the turtle shell, kick it across the hole so that it hits one of those blocks, making the coin come out, making the block appear. Then the shell bounces back at you. You better dodge that shit. And now you have created a foothold by which to get over the hole.
Now, granted, a lot of people have made things like that.
Sure. But that, it's just like an example of something that Nintendo would never put.
Like, look at this video. Look at this stack of piranha plants just hanging out here. Boom,
Oh, that's
boom,
the example
boom.
video?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice map. See, Nintendo's basically saying, look, here's things that you could do with this editor that we have never dared to do.
All it took for Nintendo to do this was have many years of history of fans doing it on their own.
Yep.
But anyone can make a Mario map, and the level editor actually looks super good. Like
is this a Wii U thing or a 3DS thing?
Wii U looks like.
Why can't it be a 3DS thing? There's no reason.
There's no reason except they need you to buy a Wii U.
I don't. I'm gonna buy a Wii U.
Like, look at this. They show you right up that you can edit the levels while you're playing them. So poke around in the level, like test something, change something while you're in the level, and then keep playing it. And the interface not only looks exactly like Mario Paint, but it has the same icons as Mario Paint.
Oh.
It's got a Mario Paint theme going on
Can
here.
I put a swan out in the map?
Oh my God, if only. If only. If only it had the Mario Paint music editor in it and you could put the music you made in the Mario Paint music editor in the Mario level.
Whoa.
That's the kind of stuff that Nintendo never does, but I would like them to do. Even though, again, no additional sales. Though I might buy a Wii U if they did all that. I'm worried about how they're going to handle this on the community side. How easy will it actually be for me to share levels with people?
Yeah.
Like, can I just put a level on the internet? I think not.
But here's the thing. Even if this is perfect in every way, right? And I bought a Wii U and I got it. How much of my life would I devote to this, really?
Well, that's the thing. Making a...
I know that's the reason I talked about, like, I just don't have time for this shit anymore. Even if it's really good, it's like, am I going to give up some other hobby that I have to get into the Mario map editing community and make that my thing?
Well, there are two ways...
Because if I'm not, then it's not worth it.
Two ways to be involved in a thing like that. The first way is if you're going to make levels for other people, and you have.
I had to have a Twitch stream where I'm streaming myself making the levels and playing them.
No, but I could have fun making levels for games like this, and making them because I know that my friends will play them. Like, hey everybody, I made a new level, play it.
I don't have. How many people do we know are gonna play and stick with the Mario level making?
We have a core of about 10 people, I think, tops, who would do that.
And all of them are going to do it and go all in on Mario map making? and we're going to be talking about Mario map making all the time.
Look at this video.
Yeah, the Mario couldn't get to the castle because there was a wall beyond the flag.
Yep. So making it for your friends, like having a local community where you and your friends occasionally make maps and fuck around with them. Like, you whip out the crazy map you made when people are over.
Sure, if we already had Wii U's, I would be, I'd be perfectly willing to buy this game and do that. But it's not something to buy a Wii U for.
No, it's definitely not something to buy a Wii U for. But the other way...
we already have 3DSs. If it was on 3DS, I could see it happening.
The other way to get into it is, like you were saying, if you're going to double down on trying to make these for a wider audience, like you're making them to flex your fundamental game design skills, you're in the game industry, you're practicing like basic game design. Those are the two reasons to have and use this, and only one of those warrants buying a Wii U.
Yep. I also think the editing tools are really the most useful for games that have some sort of competitive community, right? Like I talk about the StarCraft map editor. They make, like the maps that StarCraft comes with are not good for StarCraft tournaments.
No, they're
right?
not.
They make the maps that are for the StarCraft tournaments. If they didn't have that map editor, they wouldn't really be able to have, fairly competitive maps that are also interesting, and it would be kind of lame, and they probably wouldn't, competitive StarCraft wouldn't be where it is today without that map editor. So, pretty much any competitive game wouldn't be where any video game really wouldn't make it without some sort of editing capabilities, right? To sort of, craft the game, to fix problems with the rules that are unfair. Even every game always has that tournament mod of some kind that does the things that the base game does not do to make it tournament viable, right?
Yep.
So it's like you don't really see Mario tournaments, you see Mario speedruns, but maybe with the Mario map editor, that could open the door to real competitive Mario.
In fact, imagine this. Imagine at a place like MagFest, get some of those speedrun people and have a tournament where a bunch of people at MagFest ahead of time made maps that no one has ever seen before, and they have a one-time race on those maps live with no prep.
Yeah, but all the people who basically had to be blindfolded, and you unblindfold them one at a time as they play.
Yep, or what I would do is just make it simultaneous.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, go. There's 10 people with 10 projectors simultaneously running the same special map.
Go, yeah, 10 projectors. You do that.
You could make that happen at a con like PAX or MagFest, trivially. Not trivially, but
10 projectors is a lot to have in one place at one time where everyone can see them all.
There's spaces for it.
You sort of have to have everyone playing on a TV.
Fine,
and then
4
a video
projectors,
switcher.
because you're not. How many of those people in that community who are good enough to even compete on that level are you going to get at the same time at any convention? I mean, imagine if it was like you and me and a bunch of people we know in a tournament like that. Like, one of us would beat it like minutes before everybody else.
Probably.
It would be the worst.
Anyway, it's weird though that like you think a lot of the games that had editors, right, or have them now, are some of like the top games of all time.
Yeah, well, because editors let a competitive game be interesting from multiple perspectives, effectively indefinitely, unless the game is so simple that you've literally explored every interesting thing you could do.
Games that have no capability to be edited or modded in any way are much more likely to disappear, or and are not remembered and are not as significant.
Yeah, I mean, no one remembers games like The Legend of Zelda.
I'm saying,
or
they're less likely. They're less likely to be remembered, especially if they're multiplayer of some kind.
Yeah,
right. Like, what games do you know that have an editor just sort of disappeared? No one cares.
Well, a lot of single-player games have editors within themselves for like these kind of ghetto, one-off, half-assed multiplayer competitive modes, but those don't really count.
Yeah, we're talking about something that really, something significant, right? Like you can make a completely custom map.
Yeah, well, I mean, who plays Civ 2 these days?
People play Civ though.
They do play Civ.
Yeah.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.